So, the IELTS exam. We all know the pressure is just immense. And when stakes are that high, it's totally natural to look for a shortcut, right? Especially when it comes to vocabulary. But here's the thing. That frantic search for a quick fix, it's exactly what leads so many students down a path that's not just wrong, but, well, honestly, it's just counterproductive.
I mean, you've seen the videos, right? You've read the blogs. They all have these big promises. Learn these special Band 9 words and you'll get a high score. But what if I told you that focusing on those words isn't just a waste of time? It might actually be lowering your score. Yeah, stick with me on this, because we're about to take that whole idea apart piece by piece. All right, let's dive right in. We're going to start with the biggest trap in IELTS prep, and I call it the magic word myth. You know what I'm talking about. It's this idea that just won't go away. The belief that if you just learn a handful of super impressive sounding words, you can somehow trick the examiner into giving you a score you haven't really earned. So let's just be real for a second. Do you really think that 5, 10, even 20 of these so-called diamond words can fool a trained professional? I mean, this is what they do for a living. The short answer? No way. And this whole promise is built on two super popular but seriously flawed methods. So on one side, you've got the impressive word strategy. You know the one. Learn these 5 words for a Band 9. Then on the other side, you have the long lists method. This is where you're just memorizing thousands of words from a list totally out of context. And look, I get it. Both of these are super appealing because they feel like a clear plan, like a shortcut. But here's the real problem. They both completely miss the point of what vocabulary even means on this exam. You know, there's a perfect saying for this. Giving a student who's at a Band 5 level, say 5 advanced words, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. Think about it. The examiner isn't just listening for those 5 words. They hear everything you say. They're looking at your overall level and a few fancy words that are probably used wrong anyway. They just can't hide the real foundation. It's still a pig. Okay, so if memorizing fancy words is a dead end, then what are the examiners actually looking for? What do they want? Well, to figure that out, we have to look at the official rules and redefine one really, really important word.
And here it is. This is the big mental shift you need to make. When the IELTS rules talk about range, they don't just mean using words from simple to complex. No, what they really mean is your ability to talk about a range of different topics and to use the right specific words for each of those topics. That's the real test.
Let's break it down. Say you need to talk about education. You're going to need words like curriculum or learners, right? And if the topic is the environment, you'll need things like carbon emissions and ecosystems. Now look at those words. Notice anything? They're not weird, super rare diamond words. Not at all. They are the essential words you need to have a smart conversation about that specific subject. That's what range is all about. All right, maybe you're still a little skeptical. You're thinking, but big words sound so impressive. Okay, fair enough. Let's look at some cold, hard data. And trust me, what you're about to see might actually shock you. So check this out. We took an article from the Wall Street Journal, a paper famous for its high-level professional writing, and ran it through Cambridge's own analysis tool. The results? It's kind of mind-blowing. Almost half the words, nearly 50%, were A1 and A2 level. That's the most basic English. And what about those super advanced C1 and C2 words everyone obsesses over? They were just a tiny little sliver, only 4% of the entire article. And you know what? It's not just professional articles. It's the exact same story when you look at actual top-scoring IELTS essays. We're talking official Cambridge samples that got a Band 7, 8, or even 9. Less than 5% of the words in those essays were from the C1, C2 advanced lists. The foundation, the whole structure, almost everything is built on simpler words used perfectly. So the message here is crystal clear, right? Your main job isn't to go hunting for these rare C1 words. It's to get really, really good at using that A1 to B2 vocabulary. You gotta walk before you can run. A powerful vocabulary is like a strong house. It's built on a solid foundation, not just a few fancy decorations you stick on the roof. Okay, so we've officially busted the myths. Now for the good part. Let's talk about a better way to learn, a much more effective way. And this isn't some new hack or trick. This is a proven, step-by-step process for actually genuinely learning the language. It's a simple 4-step process. Step 1 is input. You've got to read and listen to English every single day. And please, pick stuff you actually enjoy. Step 2 is notice and guess. When you see a new word, your first instinct is to grab a dictionary, right? Don't. Try to guess what it means from the context first. Then, step 3, note it down. And finally, step 4, which is honestly the most important one, review and use.
Now, when I say note it down, I don't just mean writing the word and a translation. That's not enough. To really own a word, you need to dig a little deeper. Write down its pronunciation. What kind of word is it? A noun? A verb? Get the definition, but in English. Find out what other words it likes to hang out with. Those are called collocations. And the most important part, you have to create your own example sentence. When you do all that, you're building a whole web of connections around that word, making it a real part of your vocabulary.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, and honestly, this is the most critical part. Practice, because just knowing a word in your notebook, that's not going to cut it. For an exam like the IELTS, you have to be able to pull that word out and use it, accurately and without thinking, and the only way to get there is through active practice.
The key here is you've got to get active. Just passively reading your list of words is not enough. So try some of these techniques instead. Make some flashcards and play a matching game with synonyms. Or group your words by topic, like all your health words together, all your technology words together. This really helps build that topic-specific range we talked about. Oh, and here's my personal favorite. Just pick 3 or 4 random words from your notebook and try to create a little story that uses all of them correctly. It's kind of fun, and it forces your brain to actually use the language, not just remember it.
So when it comes down to it, the real path to a great vocabulary score isn't some secret list or a magic pill you can take. It's all about having a consistent, smart process. It means really engaging with English, learning words the way they're naturally used, and then practicing with them until they feel like your words, not just ones you memorized from a book.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final question to think about. Ask yourself honestly, are you actually building a vocabulary? A real tool that you can use to share your ideas? Or are you just collecting words? Because how you answer that question, well, that's what's going to make all the difference.